Hey, what's up, nerds? It's Paul at Radio Free Hammer Hall. Today, I am excited to talk about the new stuff from Scourge of Ghyran for Slaves to Darkness. Specifically, what we're going to be able to do with some Herohammer, doing crazy, fun combat stuff with heroes. So let's jump into it. Our new battle formation, the Champions of Chaos. We're just adding to the attack characteristic of melee weapons used by all friendly non-monster Slaves to Darkness heroes. That is, by the way, also including your unique heroes. So that is kind of important. Also, we are getting uh, a new artifact, the Head of the Unworthy, which lets you get 8 Dark Apotheosis points if your guy chosen to be under the gaze of the gods bites it. Your guy holding his head can become a demon prince, which is pretty sweet. And then we already had Deathmonger, which is a heroic trait that lets that hero fight twice once per game, which is pretty awesome. So I did a whole bunch of math on these, went through all of the heroes that are eligible for this, that are actually like combat heroes. I didn't bother looking at the wizards. And this is fun. One of my favorite things in Age of Sigmar is having just like a combat hero that can just be like a little dude that wanders around the board and raises hell. And we really have the ability to do that now, and I'm excited, so let's look at what we got. So, oh no, my alignment got screwed up. Anyway, that's what happens when you don't proofread this stuff enough. So this is just like your raw power output, assuming that the enemy has a 4-up save and no ward. Our number one killer is the Chaos Lord on Karkadrak. All of this is averages, so it's not going to come out to whole numbers, and it's not necessarily going to come out to numbers that make sense with what the damage characteristic is. So the Chaos Lord on Karkadrak, anyway, is averaging almost 12 damage per combat. That is just assuming a charge and not having a mark. The Demon Prince comes in after that at 10.5, which is, because he has a damage characteristic of 3, it means he's going to either do 9 or 12 damage about equally. This is assuming that he has a Mark of Khorne, because when he hits the battlefield at the beginning of the game, he automatically gets a mark. He'll be a little bit less powerful if he comes in later and doesn't have a mark, if he comes off of Dark Apotheosis. Up next, Exalted Hero of Chaos. Now, this one gets an asterisk because this is assuming he is attacking an enemy hero that is also a monster, so that he gets his +1 damage and +2 to his Ren characteristic. When he's up against something like that, like, oh my goodness, is he a powerhouse? He's, delivering average of 9 damage into that hero monster. If he's not going after a hero monster, if it's just a hero or just a monster, it's also doing quite a bit of damage. He's just not getting some additional point of Ren. But if he's just going after a regular old unit, he's not going to be that exciting. Still throwing 7 attacks, 3s, Ren 1, damage 2. So he's good, but he's just would be much further down this list at that point. Coming in at number 4, the Chaos Lord on a demonic mount, averaging around 8 damage against a 4-up save. Again, that's assuming that he charges. And then the Ogroid Myrmidon coming in just behind that at just under 8 damage. This is not factoring in, by the way, that once he gets damaged, he gets extra attacks. So he gets even more powerful after he gets damaged, which can pop him up toward the top of the list very quickly. Close behind that, we have Eternus, and then the Centurion Marshal. Eternus is an interesting one because he can come back when he dies, and he also has other powerful abilities, right along with the Chaos Lord on Karkadrak, having some extra power in other abilities that just kind of buff other stuff around. Then down at the bottom, Chaos Lord on foot, Dark Oath Chieftain on Warsteed, Dark Oath Chieftain, and the Dark Oath War Queen, all still really not doing any material damage to anything. Although the Dark Oath Chieftain on foot, I think, is still good if you're running a Dark Oath list. He's just not going to be like. He's there more for support than for anything else. All right, taking a look at value. This is how many points you pay per point of damage that they average. Making the same assumptions that I had before. The Exalted Hero of Chaos, when all of the stars align, he is just so cheap for the amount of damage that he can throw around. Ogroid Myrmidon, also just an incredible value because he is pretty low in points. I believe he's 130 right now. Chaos Lord, although he's not throwing a ton of damage, he's cheap. Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount is actually a pretty good value and is throwing around a half decent amount of damage. So he's fun. I like him. Chaos Lord on Karkadrak is falling like in the middle of the pack, which is great because he's throwing around damage that is, in the same kind of order of your Chosen and your Varangard. So if you are charging with him, he's a better value than the Chosen and the Varangard in terms of like damage per points. That little horizontal line that I have down there, that is the Chosen and Varangard value line, so you know where you're overpaying or underpaying compared to what are probably the best units in the army. Moving on down the list, Demon Prince is pretty low in value, although he is throwing a lot of damage. So I think overall, a Demon Prince, I don't know if you want to put him in your list, but you want to have one available now so that you can transform somebody with Dark Apotheosis. So this is what value looks like. Let's look at what my picks are for this. All right, this is in no particular order. So this is just going to kind of give you a little overview of what I'm thinking on these. Chaos Lord on Karkadrak. Man, this guy is just, it hits incredibly hard. He's not really very efficient in terms of how much damage he's doing, but he also has a very good ability that you're paying for in there, so his points are not just all in his damage profile. And he's moving, I believe, 9 inches, so he's decently quick. Demon Princes, they're finally doing Demon Prince things. I think, as I said before, you're actually going to want to do the transformation with the Dark Apotheosis sometimes, depending on who's got the Gaze of the Gods. But he's going to potentially be really useful, but probably going to come in later. I don't know if you necessarily want to put him in your list, but if you do, he's going to hit pretty hard. The Exalted Hero of Chaos. Man, this guy is just fun. He's really cheap. He's 90 points. He's great for grabbing that head of the unworthy because he can just be a really cheap transformation into a Demon Prince. And if you are in the right circumstances, he can really throw his weight around. My pick for the Mayor of Value Town, though, is the Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount. He's throwing around a pretty decent amount of damage, and he is very efficient for his points. He's 150 points, I believe, now. And he's fast, which is a big advantage for something like this. So you throw in your Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount. He also has a pretty decent ability if you're also running like Knights or Vanguard, but he has, those utility purposes. He's on a pretty small base, so he can kind of float around the board. He's pretty quick, and I believe he moves 10 inches, so he can do battle tactic things. He can swoop in and do a bunch of damage. He's kind of unassuming. He doesn't look like he's going to do a ton of damage. I think a lot of people would ordinarily think of him more as a support piece, but with the buffs that you can throw on him, if you get him to pile in twice in a turn, he's going to throw like, 16, 18 damage, something like that. And, that could pop a unit. Ogroid Myrmidons. I love this guy. He really is getting the deputy mayor title for me of Value Town. He can do even more damage than the Lord on Demonic Mount once he gets damaged. And he also is just, he can tank a decent amount of damage. The downside compared to the regular old Lord on Demonic Mount is that he is not as fast. So he's good. He does have a shooting attack too, which doesn't really do a lot of damage, but hey, like it does something. And then last, I just want to give an honorable mention to Eternus. He's kind of a pet unit, I think, and his ability to kind of YOLO in, not worry about dying because he can come back is pretty good. And now with being able to get that extra damage out of him from having more attacks on his profile, he becomes a much more interesting choice than he ever was before. So I think the Lord on Demonic Mount is going to find his way into my lists more now. I really love the kind of role that he can play, just being a little harassment piece that is going to be able to throw around a good amount of damage. The Ogroid Myrmidon, he certainly is an awesome model on top of everything. So he is going to probably end up in quite a few lists. Chaos Lord on Karkadrak, he is, for me, he's already kind of a staple. I just have loved that guy forever. I guess kind of another pet unit, but he has always really liked to swing his dick around, and now he really can even more than he ever did before. Yeah, I'm a fan. The all of these, like the Exalted Hero of Chaos, if I've got that 90 points left over, man, is he going to be the thing that gets shoved in? So there's a lot of fun here. All of these I can see myself playing. I can see myself throwing Demon Princes in lists once in a while. And definitely I'm always going to be bringing one with me to summon. Anywho, that's about it for now, guys. I'll talk to you all later.